Hey guys, welcome to this edition of Scott's podcast series. I am really privileged and delighted to welcome really the sports biz phenom. When you think of the sports biz, you think of Scott O'Neil, who has had an amazing career from the NBA league office to MSG to Harris Blitzer. Now he's writing books. He just released Be Where Your Feet Are and doing amazing things. Scott, glad to have you on. How are you today?
Amazing. I mean, any podcast named Scott, I figure I'm a lock. It's an easy one, right?
For sure. It is an easy one. And if you watch my content, not sure if you should, I'm the home of hot takes. So I want to put you on the spot a little bit in a good way. Don't worry. I've heard, obviously, you're taking a little break from Harris Blitzer over the last 6 to 8 months. And there's already rumblings in the sports biz that you are potentially going to be the successor when Adam Silver leaves the NBA to be the next NBA commissioner. What's that all about?
No, I mean, I tell you what, I've long held that if I were ever to be offered to be the commissioner of the NBA, my first order of business would be to fire myself and hire Adam. I think he's the greatest commissioner that this sports world has ever seen. And I think that's what his legacy will be. He's not only a good friend and a mentor and someone I count on and call on, but it's also a guy I worked for and worked with. And I said work with. It's really not. That's how I felt. You know, he's a collaborator. He's a leader. He's a visionary. I mean, it's something so special. You know, for me, with my career aspirations, and I'm coaching high school girls basketball, and
awesome.
You know, so that's really my focus in the basketball world right now. So, no, but I appreciate being part of the scuttlebutt, but my aim and angle, you know, is about like my mission and what I want to be and who I want to be. And I felt like I know my purpose in this world is to help develop the next generation of leaders. And whether that's at home with my 3 daughters or at church or, you know, at work or company I'm building and growing, or in the community, that's what I aim to do. And if I can get the biggest platform to do it, I want to do it with.
Fabulous. And you know, I looked over the book, the Cliff Notes. I still got to read the full book, to be honest, but
you need to read that thing. Come on, get the audio.
You know, Dave Wakeman, our mutual friend, gave me hell. You got to read it. And I went through the Cliff Notes and so forth. So I'm definitely going to read it. No worries there. Okay. But one thing that stuck up to me, Scott, is I love the acronym API, Affirm Positive of Intent. Explain that in depth.
Sure. Well, assume positive intent is something I stole from Indra Nooyi. You know, I'd read she talked about the best lesson she'd ever learned from her dad, and it was assume positive intent. I probably read it 15 or so years ago, and since then it's been a kind of a common language we use at home. So if you know, having 3 daughters, you know, I have 2 teenagers still, and you know, if one borrows someone's shirt or the computer's not charged or something happens with somebody's phone or the regular chaos that goes through life, you'll often hear in our house, you know, hey, API, you know, assume positive intent, like assume the best of the other person, assume like the best of intentions, assume that person is not mad at you, trying to screw you, trying to disappoint you, trying to, you know, get over on you. No, assume that this world is full of love and the intentions are pure. And there are different ways you can see that. I remember at work, a dear friend of mine, if I worked with at Madison Square Garden, and then at Harris Blitzer's, Adam Davis, who's our chief revenue officer, incredible deal maker, wonderful guy. But I remember him coming to my office and being like, Scott, I need you palms up. I need you API. And what he's saying is like, look, I don't need this guy, you know, arms folded. I don't need the wagging finger guy. I don't need like the debate guy right now. I need your wisdom and I need you to be open. I need your creativity and learning. And so that's what common language does and offers you. Some tips or hints. If you're not assuming positive intent, your boss ever sends you a text that says, hey, can I see you in 10 minutes? And you think you're getting fired, or you think you did something wrong, or you think he's going to attack you for something, or you're disappointed for something, or you're like, or it drives you into like a fret, or you feel the heat rising up your face, you're not assuming positive intent. And it really has nothing to do with the other person, because your boss, she might be mad and she might take you to task, or she might give you that, but that has nothing to do with how you walk into that meeting, right? Sure. You walk in with open heart and open mind, and that unlocks tremendous potential.
For sure. And I love your feedback on that. I was watching one of your other pods that really you went into debt with that with the API. So we all got to live by the API, assume positive over 10. What are your thoughts coming out? Obviously, we're still in the pandemic and the sports biz. What are your thoughts of just the sports biz in the nutshell? Well, let's talk about all leagues, NBA, NFL, Formula One's on fire. What do you think is the biggest challenge of all these leagues coming out of the pandemic?
Well, first I talk about the opportunity. I mean, I definitely wake up in the morning with big eyes and a lot of hope. Mm-hmm. And if the pandemic taught us anything at all, it was that we need sports and we need entertainment, and we need it live. In this world of isolation, where isolation is kind of the new kryptonite, if you will, what sports entertainment provides is community and family. And I'm dating myself here, but it's Norm walking into Cheers. I mean, it's a place where you go and you feel like you're part of something special. And whether that's like cheering on a touchdown or a home run or a goal or a great save or a dunk or a block, it doesn't really, or, an incredible song that you hadn't heard a musician sing in the last 4 tours. I mean, or singing, or when that lead singer just, holds that mic out to the crowd and they sing the rest of a song, that feeling, or that feeling of just exuberation where you're hugging perfect strangers and high-fiving, that's what we need. And so the opportunity is that we hold a special place in the hearts, minds, and souls of America, quite frankly, the world. And what a wonderful opportunity. In terms of the challenges, there are always plenty of challenges. I mean, we have chosen to work in a business that's in a fishbowl. If we sneeze the wrong way, it's written about. If we make a mistake or make a bad decision, it's on SportsCenter. And for those of us who have made way, way too many mistakes and have had way too many things pointed out by those on the sidelines, it gives you nice perspective. And the counter to that is people are actually paying to wear our logos on their t-shirts. They're paying us to come see us. There are people that are paid to write about us every day. Other brands would kill for the opportunity we have. So, but I think the biggest challenge for us coming in is going to be, hopefully you've heard about the Great Resignation.
Yeah.
And I think what you'll see coming up is the Great Reset. And so as leaders, how do we manage right now? How do we lead? What is we define culture as what you celebrate and what you tolerate. What are you going to celebrate? And what are you willing to tolerate? Because that's going to define who you are. When you hire a CMO and you haven't met her in 6 months, you haven't met her, but she's hired, she's working for you. How are we going to bring all this stuff in the fold? What does it look like? Like, who do we want to be when we grow up, so to speak? I think that is the biggest challenge coming up, because it has to start internally. You build your team, you build that culture, you build the greatest place to work in the world, and then the world is your oyster. It unlocks tremendous, tremendous potential. And that's what we're facing. I mean, there is a absolute mental health crisis rummaging through America and rummaging through the sports business. And so how are we going to deal with that as leaders? Are we going to just turn our backs? Are we going to turn a blind eye? Are we going to offer more resources? Are we going to change the way we work and how we communicate? Are we going to lead differently? Oh man, that to me, if there's anything that's exciting, it's that. The second piece, which I'm really excited about, I guess the challenge / opportunity, is the impact of Web3 and what the impact that is going to have on the sports and entertainment space. It's a space I spent quite a bit of time in as an investor, as a researcher, I guess, if you will. I read everything I get my hands on. Mm-hmm. But you think about what the metaverse is going to be and do. I mean, think about buying a pair of Nikes and having a QR code so that when you hop into the metaverse, your avatar can be wearing those same shoes. Like, think about the potential and the opportunity. I mean, think about, you've seen NFTs kind of come on in a way that will be very different a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Mm-hmm. You think about blockchain and what's that going to do to ticketing. I mean, we are at a very, very special and important time in the world of sports and entertainment. I couldn't be more excited.
For sure. And diving more into NFTs and blockchain, I really think that it's the future, a massive revenue stream opportunity for all professional sports, live events, artists, etc. How do you think that's going to evolve really, like in the next 2 to 5 years? Will it be like a main revenue component of a sports team?
Well, I kind of like to think about the metaverse as the place it'll all happen.
Sure.
And NFTs as the currency that you'll see, and the properties having an incredible opportunity to quote unquote sell tickets and create commerce. So I think there's a whole ecosystem that's evolving. And I don't, I think, it's not only, we're not in the first inning, we're in the first pitch of the first inning. Mm-hmm. And to see brands jump in with 2 feet, it's pretty exciting. I mean, I think, I think an entire revenue stream channel will be unlocked. But man, am I excited.
Awesome things to come there. And I want to dive into sales teams. In my old life, I was a GM of sales, University of Illinois, Bowling Green, some minor leagues, worked on the secondary. How important do you think it is to run a sales team in 2022 and beyond? You had I think over 100 reps at a time with the Sixers,
yeah.
Devils. Like, tell me about a good sales culture.
Sure. Well, first I'll tell you, like, I'm a little bit of an athlete. Like, I kept hiring salespeople because I would talk, Jake Reynolds, who's now the president of the New Jersey Devils, came in as director of sales and quickly to VP and then moved up the chain. And I kept asking him, like, how long does it take for a rep to pay for herself or himself? And he'd say, 9 weeks. And I'm like, well, how come we haven't hired 20 more? And then I would ask him, like, well, you have 3 seats open. Do you know what that's costing us every single day? And so there is some math to it. And I'll talk, and I can talk about culture in a second, but I will tell you that if you want to talk about a C shift or a C change coming in sales, which I think is really exciting, is if you think about you, like, when's the last time somebody cold called you on your cell and you bought something? For me, it's never, because like I literally have never bought something off a cold call. That's the backbone of our business right now. It has to change. It has to. I mean, so I think in 5 years, it's not that there won't be sales reps. Of course there will be. And it's not that there won't be service teams. Of course there will be. It's just that the backbone of our business will be built on data and content. And a lot of it will be automated. There's incredible AI tech out there that will help us. And we will understand who is in our purviews, in our universe. And we, the sports business, have to be much better at direct to consumer, like basic D2C, like stuff that's happening in Silicon Valley and Silicon Slopes and Silicon Alley in New York, has to happen into sports teams. And we're behind the 8 ball. We really are. We have done I think a better job over the last 5 years in terms of, building a data warehouse and learning more about who's in our database, but that's the game. And so right offer to the right person at the right time will become, that will supplant these large sales forces over time, in my opinion. It has to.
Very well said there. And really diving back into ticketing too, really kind of my expertise. And obviously a fan could go on the secondary and buy a ticket nowadays for a lot cheaper than what a rights holder or team is selling on the primary. How do you think like the primary and secondary evolving, and are we training fans to buy last minute? Because 80% of the time on the secondary, it's cheaper than the primary if you look at overall statistics in the sports biz and in live events over the last 5 years.
Yeah, I defer to you on the stats because I don't know them. So I'll assume they're correct. I will say that what I think teams and sports properties and sports leagues have done a really good job of is creating that value proposition. And a lot of that, again, goes back to how we felt during the pandemic. In the heart of the pandemic, we felt isolated and alone and, reaching out for community. And to the extent, if you've been to a live game and you walk into your section and the usher says, "Hey, Scott, good to see you again." You're like, "Oh, thanks, Gene. Nice to talk to you." Then you walk down and you see like 3 people behind you that have been going to the games with you for 10 years. And, the guy in front of you brought his granddaughter to the game. You're thinking like, okay, this is my tribe, right? That tribal nature of sports will always preserve a season ticket, always. And then how those 2 worlds intersect, I think it's already happened. I mean, to the consumer, at least the single game buyer, it should be somewhat seamless. So I think, when you Google, like, I want to buy a ticket to a Knicks game today. I mean, I don't care as a consumer whether I go to the primary or secondary. Personally, like, I just want to buy a ticket. So I think you'll see more of that, and how they mask that, how teams mask that, will be fascinating. But already teams are working with secondary ticketing providers. I mean, that's what we do. We make sure that we understand the market, that you're not submarining the market, and flooding the market with 2,000 tickets 24 hours before the game just to pump and dump. And so I think teams are getting smarter. Some of the secondary market providers and companies are getting really smart. How, they have incredible data and they're able to price effectively over time to optimize the revenue. I think that's what we're all about. While still giving access to fans. That's the joy, right? Sure. The joy is that there's almost like there's no game you can't go to. I mean, you might have to pay up or pay down, but like, right, there's no, like, can't get a ticket now. So it's somewhat democratized the opportunity to go see a game and go see a concert. And I think that for fans is wonderful. And the market will dictate the price, and which some people don't love. And for me, it's like, well, it's the demand. I mean, it's market forces. I'm a market forces person. Like, I believe in letting the market set the price. And if that happens to be low, that means there's not a lot of demand for that ticket.
Very well said. Very well said answer, and obviously a very complex question that obviously every team deals with in ticketing. And going back to your culture and your book to wrap this amazing podcast up, really delighted to have Scott O'Neill on Be Where Your Feet Are. Really just kind of like define like what good culture is. And we all some of us work in the corporate world. Me and you are out of the corporate world right now, but what is it like to really help these guys? They have so much pressure to perform in sales, yada, yada, yada. Where as leaders should we be to manage folks, to elevate them, to get to the next level, not just professionally, but personally, what you talk about in your book? Sure.
I was really fortunate, with Brian Norman up in New Jersey and Ben Cobley in Philadelphia. I had two of the most, just elite human beings running the ticketing arms. And when you have elite human beings, they oftentimes become elite leaders, which those two happen to be. And I think what differentiates them, and they're both very different people, but some of the commonalities are, one, they care about the people that work with them personally, and they know them personally. And I think that's a key ingredient. Like, do I know you? Do I understand your dreams, your hopes, your desires, your fears? And can I help you get there? Do I know enough about what you're willing to do? Can I instruct you? Because when you're young, you don't know like what it actually takes to find success. And can I help you understand what it's going to take to find success? And then can I see you in a mind, body, soul way? And that, yes, I can help you develop your sales skills, and I can help develop how smooth you are on the phone, or your closing techniques, or how to get referrals, all that stuff. Yeah, I can help you with that. But can I help spark your intellectual curiosity? Can I instruct you on being a better leader? Can I instruct you on being a better mom, or better dad, or better brother, or better sister, or better roommate? Yes, and yes. Can I help you like understand the value in taking care of your body, and taking care of your mind, and taking care of your soul, and how that works? Yes. And I think that's what I think differentiated us as a place to work, was that when you work there, you feel valued. And I think that's really important. And, your manager cares about you. The number one reason people leave their jobs is not to take more money, and it's not for a better opportunity. It's because they don't believe in their manager. And I think in our case, we had managers that were extraordinary people, and they believed in you. And it's not to say we didn't have mistakes and things didn't go awry, or people didn't leave. Of course, that's welcome to life and welcome to business. But as a rule of thumb, as a way of business, as a course of life, we believe that if we know you personally and create a professional development plan and a personal development plan and help you on your path, and if part of that path is leaving to go run a sales team somewhere, we are all for you. And they know that. Life gets pretty good, and it's a wonderful place to work. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Scott, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Best of luck into your endeavors. We'll definitely stay in touch, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Thanks, my friend. Good luck. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.